Hey, Michael, do you ever feel like there are too many different types of analytics?
Dude, looking at the analytics screens on any sort of like social media platform or streaming platform gets overwhelming.
Yeah, I feel like the promise is that it's like this beautiful garden that you step into where you can just have discovery after amazing discovery. And then the reality is that you're thrown out to sea, lost in an ocean.
Yeah, it definitely can feel that way, especially in the beginning when you honestly don't have like that much data to work with, where you're trying to make decisions based off of it because that's what everyone tells you to do. But then you really don't have that much to go off of.
Yeah, well, today we're going to talk about which analytics you should care about and which ones only start to matter in the later stages of your podcasting journey, and the ones that just will never matter to you and you can forget about them. Ignore them, delete them, whatever you want to do. Welcome to Podcast Support, the show where we tackle the questions every podcaster needs answered to grow a successful show. Whether you're just starting out or scaling an existing audience, we break down the roadblocks, share practical strategies, and give you step-by-step answers so you can spend less time guessing and more time building the podcast you want.
Thank you for contacting Podcast Support.
So Case and I chose 10 analytics to look at and rate which one is the most important to least important. And we're going to start with which one's least important. And I want to just point out all of these matter. We chose only good analytics because there are so many of them, but we're just going to put them in the order of which ones like matter the most to the least. It doesn't mean that any of these don't matter.
And I'd say this is pretty comprehensive. So ones outside of this, maybe you can find a unique case for why that one would be interesting to you. But for the most part, these are really going to be the ones to focus on.
I totally agree with that. All right. So first of all, I think that the metric that is the least important here is podcast ratings.
Yeah.
I think this one deserves to be at the bottom here.
I'd agree. I think that there's really at this point not that much value. I think that sometimes people ask for ratings, but it might give you a small boost in discoverability on podcasting platforms, but podcasting platforms are already so bad at introducing you to new podcasts that you don't want to rely on those to get your podcast out there versus other things that you could focus on.
Yeah, I think that's the toughest part because, like, I think people do definitely look when they see a podcast for the first time. I think that having like a couple hundred 5-star ratings or even a couple thousand is beneficial, but that's all it is. It's just a momentary thing of like, oh, other people like this show, so like I'll give it a shot.
Yeah,
but I don't think it does much more other than that.
No, I definitely don't think it does. I'm even going to check Overcast. Overcast, the podcast platform I use, doesn't even show ratings.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they're one of the
other
top
stupid thing is that the ratings don't transfer between RSS feeds. You have to choose one platform to get those ratings on.
Yeah. So are you a Spotify boy or are you an Apple boy? Like,
yeah,
that's your choice. And most of the time, it just doesn't matter that much.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever rated a podcast? Besides one
that
you worked on? Yeah, besides the one that you worked on.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Not in a long time, but back when I was first getting into podcasting, I think I rated a few that I particularly enjoyed.
Okay.
Oh, nice. And then I think recently I think I gave a negative rating to the Ringer NFL show.
Oh, that's brutal,
just
dude.
Desperately hoping that they would change what they're doing.
You probably brought them from a 4.9 star to a 4.8 star.
Yeah, I think that my one rating has the power for any Ringer podcast show, for sure.
That's brutal of you. I can't believe you did that.
I wanted it to be temporary, but I forgot, so I haven't gone back and changed it.
All right, so ratings are at the bottom.
Yeah.
What do you think we put next? I'm kind of thinking subscribers might be next.
Okay. What's your case for subscribers?
It's one difficult aspect of subscribers is that it's encompassing podcast platform subscribers and YouTube subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
And on YouTube, subscribers are almost meaningless. On podcast platforms, they're a little bit more important because podcast platforms decide what to tell you is new based on your subscribers. But on YouTube, it decides what to tell you is new that you should watch just based on what it thinks you'll like, not based on what you're subscribed to. Mm-hmm. So it's difficult to parse those two. But either way, I think that subscribers are least important.
I tend to agree with YouTube, and that's a pretty big shift from where we were 5 years ago, where YouTube subscribers was a lot more important for having your content go out to people and them actually seeing it in their feeds and stuff. Now it's so much more about algorithms and the AI looking at what your watch patterns are and what you'll actually click on to view. I mean, I don't know about you. I don't subscribe to most things on YouTube at this point. I feel like I've had my account change before, and so now I'm like, I just whatever things it realizes are the things I'm going to watch all the time are the ones that'll show up for me. And honestly, I think that leads to a worse experience for me because now I don't have any of the random things that I might want to watch. And instead, it's like 4 videos from like 4 creators, and that's all it shows me over and over again. So if I want to watch basketball highlights to the end of time, I'm set. But if I want new interesting stuff, I'm screwed.
Okay. That's actually really interesting. I have kind of a different experience than you because I don't subscribe to people either. But honestly, YouTube does a better job of recommending stuff than like just looking at the people I subscribe to.
Oh, yeah. No, mine's bad.
I'm wondering if we should split this into podcast subscribers and YouTube subscribers. Because I think I would rate podcast subscribers higher than YouTube subscribers.
Yeah, I think it's important because of how clearly having your podcast be something that somebody subscribed to leads to more listens.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll figure out where podcast subscribers goes later. I think YouTube subscribers is second from the bottom. Do you agree with that? We're on the same page? Okay. What do we want to put third here?
And this is a beautiful document, by the way.
Thank you. You're
not struggling at all to find places to put things.
I just sort of, got inspired.
Yeah.
I think that what's in between a thumbs up and a like?
Nothing.
All right. We're back to just 10.
Well,
I think that thumbs up might be the next least important.
Yeah, this list. Yeah. I think that's fair.
Yeah, because thumbs up matter. It helps like affirm for YouTube that it's showing your video to the right people, that this type of person is interested. So maybe more people like them will like it.
Yeah.
So it also narrow in on that. But it's not like, I mean, if your video has a lot of watch time but no thumbs up, it's going to get pushed more.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's just a small showing for the YouTube algorithm of, okay, this person liked this enough to actually take an action versus just watching.
Yeah.
But not as important as some of these other ones. We're getting down to it. Honestly, having only 10 really took out all of the ones that would have been just easy to get rid of.
Yeah. Did. I think that my pitch might be that this average stream / downloads in the first 7 days and first 30 days is incredibly important once you're doing advertising.
Mm-hmm.
But in the beginning of your podcast journey, I don't think this matters.
Yeah, it's not, because it's not about the speed at which you're getting. It's about the speed at which you're bringing on new listeners for the podcast, not about how many people are. But I guess, yeah, this used to also be more important because back in the day, you weren't able to really see how many subscribers you had on a podcast. And so how many views you had in the first 7 days really gave you more insight into how many people were subscribed to your podcast, because normally if they're in that first day to first 7 days, they're somebody who is already watching it. So yeah, I'd say this is not as important now. Of course, unless you're doing advertising.
Yeah, if you're doing advertising, this is massive because this is a really big metric that advertisers will want to track and will base your CPMs off of.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, is that even, we might even need to consider putting that lower. Like, is that even lower than ratings in the beginning?
No, because it just gives you an idea of how many people
Okay.
are watching.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, it just depends on how much you want to value having ratings on one platform. Or like maybe, on the two platforms that matter. I've never seen proof that ratings dramatically impact you that much.
That would be an interesting study, though. I would actually be really curious about that.
I'm sure somebody's done it.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, I think comments are next.
Interesting. Why?
It's just that I don't think they're as important as shares, basically. I think that shares are something that algorithms really, really, really value. And also, if someone shares your podcast, you're getting another viewer out of that. You're getting another listener. Whereas if someone comments, it's positive for the algorithm. It's a good thing to have. I want comments. But it doesn't immediately give you another viewer, and it also doesn't tell the algorithm like, oh, I need to push this to more people like this person.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm trying to think. Okay, so total streams and downloads to date. I mean, maybe more important. Shares. So what's your logic with how high we're having total streams and downloads to date?
I think it's pretty crucial. I think it might be top 3. I think total.
Why do you think it's top 3?
What
do you think it tells you?
It tells you that people are very, very interested.
Why?
Well, that's literally your audience. That people are actually are you thinking for the entire show? Because that's not very clear. I just realized.
Yeah, it's not clear at all. Yeah,
I'm thinking total streams and downloads to date for an episode. That's a good point, though. I just never imagined of looking at it that way.
Okay.
So what should we change this to? Or do we leave it and do we add another one? Is this actually interesting?
No, it's not. It's worthless.
Yeah, it's totally worthless.
Stat.
Well, we could keep it and move it to the very bottom.
I think you just mean views and downloads.
I just wanted to separate it from first. Oh, okay. Views and downloads.
Yeah.
Because, okay, totally understand that confusion. That makes total sense.
I was like, dude, I really don't. Why do we even have this?
I chose a lot of good ones, and I chose one bad one. No, okay. That's just the total amount of views that a podcast episode gets.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's definitely important. Okay, so I think comments is fine there then. I think here is where I would probably put podcast subscribers.
Ooh, I mean, with just how important they are to getting people to actually know that a new episode was released on a podcast platform, I sort of wonder if that's...
Yeah, I think also here's where like the rest of them are all YouTube.
This one's not just YouTube, but yes, the rest of these are. Click-through rate doesn't... They don't... I wish they gave you a click-through rate amount for...
yeah, it'd be fantastic.
These platforms. They do give you impressions now, but they don't seem to give you a click-through rate, as far as I can tell.
Yeah. And like impressions.
It's nice at least that we get impressions.
Yeah.
Because click-through rate is so helpful. Because it'd be so nice to know how effective your podcast title is at pulling people in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'd be fantastic.
Because that's a good point.
That's where, like,
There are ways.
Podcast subscribers could be the number one, but it could also. It's kind of hard when it's so different.
Yeah. Well, we got to make choices. They're all important.
Okay. Well, let's keep going. I guess we'll leave podcast subscribers for right now. Then I would say click-through rate would be next.
I think that's fair.
I think because the way I always think about it is that you want to get click-through rate up first, which maybe because you need to do it first makes it more important, but you need to get that, and then you need to get your total watch time or retention curve up.
Yeah.
Totally. And then you work on shares and comments and those types of things.
So I think that I agree with you, but I think that shares should go before click-through rate.
Yeah. As far as which ones you want to get that you have to get done first, which is now how I'm thinking about it, then click-through rate would be above total watch time even.
Yeah, okay, that's super fair. Especially in the beginning. Because total watch time is honestly kind of like average streams and downloads in the first 7 and 30 days, because like it matters way more later on down the road.
Yeah. So then do we agree with views and downloads and podcast subscribers being so high up?
I think that they are where they're supposed to. I'm not sure that if we should switch them or not. Like maybe views and downloads is the most important. Because, like, what's the point of having a bunch of podcast subscribers if they're not watching?
Yeah, but the problem is that downloads and podcast subscribers are so similar to each other.
Totally fair. Can you explain in case anyone doesn't know?
Well, I mean, because the way that it works is that podcast subscribers, once you've subscribed to it, most of the time it'll automatically download unless you haven't played a podcast episode in a long time. And so for the most part, you're just going to end up with a majority of your podcast downloads being your subscriber base, especially because there's not as many great ways to discover new podcasts versus YouTube, where it's all about discovery and you have the search feed and you have all of that working for it. And so I just say that they're so similar to each other that I think I would probably put. Yeah, they're not fully the same, because somebody could go and just find an episode from, Googling or something, but it's not as common. And so I'd probably say that views and downloads are higher than podcast subscribers.
I think so too. And also I think because it also encompasses views as well. So
yeah.
All right. So let's go over our list. Oh God, that's not what I meant to do. Let's go over our list real quick and see if this is our final list.
Okay.
Put it nice and centered. Here we go. Okay. So at number 1, we have views and downloads. At number 2, we've got podcast subscribers. At number 3, we have click-through rate. At number 4, we have total watch time / retention curve. At number 5, we have shares. At number 6, we have comments. At number 7, we have average streams / downloads in the first 7 and 30 days. At number 8, we have thumbs ups on YouTube. On number 9, we have YouTube subscribers. And at number 10, we have ratings.
Yeah.
Are you feeling good about this list? Because I think I actually am.
Yeah, I don't think I have any that I would move.
Yeah. Well, we figured out what the order of the top 10 types of analytics are. So if you've been looking at your analytics panels and kind of scrunching your face up and going like, what?
Yeah. If you've
Here's
been
your
feeling
answer. What to actually pay
overwhelmed,
attention to.
yeah, here you go. Here's what to narrow down to.
Yeah. Which I hope is helpful because honestly, analytics can get daunting.
Thank you for contacting podcast support.